This is a radio station of the SDC Radio Networks.
Lock it on to the best station on the net, around the planet on the World Wide Web. The Daily Dose. Don't go anywhere. In the mix.
We're in the mix, and this is your host, Kenny Smith.
This is a radio station of the SDC Radio Networks. The music of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Thanks for listening.
Well, the first thing I have to say is Happy New Year? Kind of sarcastic, I'm sure. But I'm going to say Happy New Year. I got to say Happy New Year. I tell you, I don't know how I'm going to handle this today, but I'm getting old. What the heck? Happy New Year, everybody. We're trying to. So anyway, I'm sitting up here watching my favorite show, Alien Nation, I guess, or what is it? History Channel. Yeah, Ancient Aliens. I'm an ancient alien, I'm sure. So anyway, it's been 22 days since the government shut down everybody's paycheck. My dad and mom worked paycheck to paycheck. And I guess I'm working paycheck to paycheck too, you know? It's not getting any better. It should be, but it's not. But I sure want something to be done. I can't believe that Senate Leader McConnell is gonna just hand off his powers to the president so he can continue to rip us off. Hey, I don't like him. None of those people. I can't believe that these people have put pain on everybody. People gigging in their savings accounts, their 401ks that's been dying. And it's all kind of other crazy stuff, right? Working for the government basically was a steady paycheck. Nothing great in money-wise, but what you got is, you got a steady paycheck. You were never going to get rich. You have to really love your job. All right? Well, when you lose your credit rating for not paying, when you lose, when you lose everything, and you're working for free. People sleeping in their cars because they don't have enough gas or gas money to get back and forth to work. Just absolutely nuts. I don't know what to do. I'm just kind of sick about the whole thing myself. So anyway, without further ado, Happy New Year to everybody. And I want to thank everybody. Judy Quentin Roberts, I know I haven't got back to you, and I apologize, on Facebook. I've got so many Facebook posts, but I have an issue with Facebook. I've been having a problem with them since 2005, 2006, when we had a big old fight. And I just kind of hated them ever since, And so I told anybody want to contact me, hey, the address is up on the web page. It's sdcinternetics@msn.com. Hey, you can write me, call me. My phone number's up there too, by the way. And as I say, I make no bones. I try to stay away from Facebook because they hate me and I hate them. But in the old days when I got set up my networks and whatnot, they're still there, so they get posted to. But I physically do not go to Facebook to do anything. Like I said, I've got a really bad I got a bad problem with them. But anyway, enough of that for me and them. Enjoy Facebook. Enjoy everything. All right. So we're going to get started with music from KDTN Radio 1, our sister station, and SDC Digital. We're going to open up the show with Chuck Eden. And it's called I Saved a Place for You in My Heart. And I do have a place for you guys in my heart. All you fabulous people that work for the government. That you're getting screwed over. And it's not even your fight. And you got dragged right in the middle of something that you ain't got nothing to do with. Man, what a blind side. You can't say nothing. But I do know one thing. 800,000 voices. For every voice, they will tell 10 people. And that 10 will tell 10 people. So all of a sudden, 800,000 voices is going to become 18 million voices. And Mr. Trump, you're going to get a rude awakening. You're going to get a rude awakening, sir. And that's too bad. But anyway, we're going to start the show off with Chuck Eden. It's called I Saved a Place for You in My Heart. So we get started with it. And then we're going to go to Royers Now for January 12th. Thanks for listening.
While the time goes by and the world goes round, my love for you grows, that's alright. You fill my life with joy and I feel good. Your love is like food, it feeds my body and soul, making me whole. It keeps me alive. Love you every night, every single night. While the time goes by and the world goes round, love for you grows. In every dream that I dream, I always find you there, guiding all my steps and holding my hand so I don't fall. You keep me safe. Time goes by and the world goes round, my love for you grows. You make me see the best of me and teach me to forgive. I'm happy with all I've got. I've got you and that's everything to me, more than enough. I will never let you down. I will always be with you. I saved a place for you inside of my heart. You're
Chuck Eaton. I'll save a place for you in my heart. I have to save a place for you in my heart. I tell you, you know, with the shutdown hurting us all, I mean, I've been watching pictures, people at the border, at least the guards, they're just letting people pass through. The TSA people, they're just letting people get on the plane. They're not trying to search nobody. You know, when you take incentive away and you hurt people, man, it takes a lot of guts to stand up and know when you ain't going to get paid for it, you're going to get screwed over to continue your job. I don't know, a half-assed job is better than no job at all, or doing your job half-assed is better than not doing your job at all. I don't know. I've been in those situations. I think all of us have at some point in time. Anyway, we're going to get off with Reuters. But anyway, I've got to chime in right quick on my rant and rave radio station with the president. Here we go. And I tell you what.
Donald Trump rants and raves at the press. I'm not ranting and raving. I'm just telling you, you're dishonest people. But, I'm not ranting and raving. I love this. I'm having a good time doing it. But tomorrow the headlines are going to be Donald Trump rants and raves. I'm not ranting and raving.
This is a radio station of the SDC Radio Networks. The music of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Thanks for listening.
Reuters Now.
As the clock struck midnight on Saturday, the partial government shutdown became the longest in U.S. history, and there's currently no clear path to reopening the government. President Trump Friday said he won't declare a national emergency for now.
So what we're not looking to do right now is national emergency, but this is up to Congress, and it should be up to Congress, and they should do it. If they can't do it, I will declare a national emergency.
The Trump administration is still trying to prove that what's happening at the border is a bona fide crisis and not just a political play for Trump to achieve a key promise to voters: building a wall.
We have a country that's being invaded by criminals and by drugs.
Working against this tactic, data. Apprehensions at the border are at a 20-year low, and studies show immigrants commit fewer crimes than natural-born citizens. Also, public support. A recent Reuters poll found that only 25% of Americans agree with Trump's decision to keep the government closed until Congress approves funding for the wall. Media reports that the administration was weighing a plan to tap a $13.9 billion Army Corps fund that was set aside for disaster relief sparked outrage. The mayor of San Juan, a town devastated by Hurricane Maria, tweeted that, quote, taking money from disaster areas to pay for a wall is the egotistical response of a man who gets his way or brings everyone down. A White House official denied the president had been briefed on the plan.
We need money for a barrier.
But as Trump stands firm, he's now getting pressed for abandoning his campaign promise that Mexico would pay for a wall. The president, 2 years into his term, now says he meant that figuratively.
Atusa, can you get in your seat, please?
Cher Muzik is a stay-at-home mom in Virginia. Her husband is one of the 800,000 government workers who, because of the shutdown, isn't getting paid.
He's gone to work every single day without pay, without complaint. He's doing his job because he believes it's important.
But as the shutdown stretches into its 22nd day, making it the longest on record, the mother of two worries about being able to make ends meet with no money coming in.
So unbelievable that we can work really hard to get this education and make sure that we can provide for our family, but still end up wondering if we're going to be able to pay our bills.
Topping Muzik's long list of worries is how they'll pay for their children's education.
It's a huge challenge. It's almost $1,000 a month for preschool, for half day.
And with the political standoff over border security showing no immediate signs of easing, Muzik worries the family will soon have to make some tough decisions.
We're going to have to take loans. We're going to have to do use credit cards.
She says the family has about 2 months of wiggle room before they really feel the pinch. But if the shutdown goes beyond that, they'll probably have to dip into their savings.
I really don't want to be in that situation. We're a working family. We earn our paycheck. We pay our bills.
But while Muzik is stressed about her own family situation, she knows others have it worse, having to live paycheck to paycheck. And for that reason, she has a message for President Donald Trump.
The crisis is not at the border. The crisis is in your backyard. Americans that are working families, they need their paychecks. Let's solve this. Let's figure it out.
This week, she headed to Washington, D.C. to march with hundreds of federal workers at a rally demanding an end to the shutdown.
This shouldn't be taken lightly.
He's the most powerful Republican not named Trump in Washington, D.C. But as the partial shutdown drags on, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has been keeping his head down, showing little appetite for the messy fight between the Democrats and President Trump over his demand for a border wall.
Well, unfortunately, the president just got up and walked out.
When Trump stormed out of a meeting with top lawmakers this week, McConnell sat silently, sources tell Reuters, not uttering a word as the talk blew up. Andy Sullivan has more.
McConnell's clearly a very effective operator in the Senate, and he's usually the one taking the lead shepherding legislation through. But McConnell doesn't want to get in the middle of this fight because that would put many of his Senate Republicans in an uncomfortable position. They'd have to choose between voting to reopen the government and the costs of that are mounting every day. We want to work. Or abandoning Trump. They clearly don't want to make that choice. They want to stick with the president as much as possible.
Any viable compromise will need to carry the endorsement of the president.
McConnell on 2 occasions has bypassed the microphones after White House meetings aimed at ending the shutdown, leaving his Republican colleagues to defend the president.
We have a very, very unified party. Mitch has been fantastic.
Another factor here is Trump himself. He's been pretty unpredictable throughout this process.
Democrats suggest McConnell is wary of being burned again after Trump's sudden reversal on the border wall last month, when he rejected a spending bill passed overwhelmingly in the Senate without money for the wall after signaling to McConnell he would support it.
So potentially the Senate could vote to reopen government and then Trump could veto that legislation. That would be the worst of all possible world for Senate Republicans, as they'd be seen as going against the president and also not being effective in opening the government.
Some of McConnell's Republican colleagues in the Senate have begun to waver as federal workers go without pay, several facing tough re-election bids in 2020, such as Susan Collins and Cory Gardner, both of whom have called for an end to the shutdown.
Mr. Kane.
Democrats say McConnell could help bring the shutdown to a close. But so far, McConnell is showing no signs of moving off the sidelines and into the fray.
Thousands of Yellow Vest protesters descended onto the streets of Paris once again on Saturday, marking the 9th weekend of unrest in a row. At the Arc de Triomphe, riot police fired water cannons and tear gas at those protesting French President Emmanuel Macron's economic reforms. With the economy slowing and his administration shaken, Macron has agreed to start a 3-month national debate on Tuesday. The 4 main themes under discussion: taxes, green energy, institutional reform and citizenship. Macron hopes it will mollify his critics. But the Yellow Vests consider the town hall debates pointless, given that Macron has already refused to back down on certain measures. Central Paris was in lockdown for the weekly ritual of demonstrations. Police barriers designed to contain any violence blocked ambulances racing to the scene of a gas explosion at a bakery. 2 firefighters and a Spanish citizen died in the blast, which is being treated as an accident.
An 18-year-old Saudi woman who rose to global prominence this week for barricading herself in a Bangkok airport hotel room rather than be sent back to her family arrived safely Saturday in her new home country of Canada. Rohaf Mohammed Al-Kunan, who was too tired to talk to the press after a long flight to Toronto from Bangkok through Seoul, South Korea, was greeted at the airport by Canada's Foreign Minister, Chrystia Freeland.
It was Rohaf's choice to come out and say hello to Canadians. She wanted Canadians to see that she's here, that she's well, and that she's very, very happy to be in her new home.
Cunan was granted asylum in Canada on an appeal from the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. She fled her family and their alleged abuse a week ago, claiming her life would be in danger if she was forced to return to them in Saudi Arabia. She even refused to meet them in Bangkok, using Twitter to send a message for help after initially being denied entry into Thailand.
My name is Rahaf, and I'm still in the room. I have no choice. They said I have to go tomorrow, and no one can help me right now.
Her case has drawn attention to that country's strict social rules, including a requirement that women have the permission of a male guardian, usually a family member, to travel.
Syria says Israeli warplanes fired missiles towards Damascus overnight. State TV broadcasting what it says are the air defences firing. The rockets hit an airport warehouse late on Friday night, Sana news agency said, quoting a military source. Israel has mounted attacks on Syria in the past, trying to counter the influence of Iran, which supports Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. The last time reported by Syrian state media was on Christmas Day, when a missile attack wounded 3 soldiers. A senior Israeli official said in September that Israel had carried out more than 200 attacks on, quote, Iranian targets in Syria in the last 2 years. Iranian forces and Iran-backed groups like Lebanon's Hezbollah have fought on Assad's side during the Syrian civil war, which is soon to enter its 9th year.
Automaker Nissan has broadened its investigation into former chairman Carlos Ghosn to include dealings that took place in the US, India and Latin America. That's according to 3 Reuters sources with knowledge of the inquiry. In one part of the probe, the company is looking into calls made in the US by Jose Munoz, who led Nissan's North American operations for 4 years up to 2018. Reuters sources said Munoz, who's considered within the industry as close to Ghosn, had been, quote, stonewalling the investigation. The sources described him as a person of interest in the probe, but also said it wasn't clear if Munoz would be actually accused of any wrongdoing. And on Saturday, a Nissan spokesperson confirmed that Munoz had resigned from the firm, where he had currently been heading up Nissan's China operations. Munoz did not reply to Reuters' request for comment. And one of Ghosn's legal team members said in an emailed comment that they were unaware of the matter. One source told Reuters that some of the questions put to Munoz relate to dealer franchise rights, and others relate to contracts with parts and service suppliers that he approved when running Nissan's US operations. Reuters also understands Nissan's probe is looking into Ghosn's role in calls on dealer franchise decisions in other countries, including India, and the possibility of outsized payments for bodyguard services in Brazil. Before his arrest in November, Ghosn was one of the most celebrated executives in the auto industry, widely credited with saving Nissan from bankruptcy. Ghosn has been charged with underreporting his income, and on Friday was also indicted on aggravated breach of trust over allegedly shifting investment losses to Nissan temporarily. On Tuesday, Ghosn made his first public appearance since his arrest in a Tokyo court, where he declared his innocence and said he had never received any undisclosed income.
Layoff notices are being sent out to more than 6,000 employees of Elon Musk's rocket company, SpaceX. The company announced Friday that it's slimming down its workforce by about 10% due to what it calls extraordinarily difficult challenges ahead. A spokesman told Reuters the job cuts are necessary in order for SpaceX to succeed in developing interplanetary spacecraft and global space-based internet, tricky businesses that have sunk others into bankruptcy. SpaceX is competing to be the first to successfully market a new satellite-based internet service, and along with Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin and Richard Branson's Virgin Galactic, is working towards launching a space tourism industry.
It's dangerous, to be clear.
Meanwhile, SpaceX's rocket business has seen some successes. Last year, it was able to reuse a segment of its Falcon 9 rocket. Recycling rockets is SpaceX's key strategy to keep down the costs of rocket travel. It was a night Lin-Manuel Miranda says was unlike any other.
I have never felt anything like that.
On Friday, he was back in his colonial garb on stage as Alexander Hamilton, but this time on his beloved island of Puerto Rico. 16 months ago, the island was ravaged by Hurricane Maria, and to this day, Puerto Ricans are still struggling.
Puerto Ricans are the most resilient people on the face of the earth. Name any other city in the world that would survive this long without power and without, with the resources that any American city would get in the wake of a hurricane.
Because of that, Lin-Manuel, who spent summers on the island, decided to do a 3-week run of his smash hit Hamilton in San Juan to raise money for the arts and to spark tourism.
I'm in awe. I'm in awe of the people of Puerto Rico. Every time I come here, people are going to come to Puerto Rico because of Hamilton and hopefully spend a lot of money here.
Tickets were given out to residents for $10, while others, like mainland stars Jimmy Fallon, will pay as much as $5,000. Lin-Manuel's Broadway rap musical has won a Pulitzer Prize, 11 Tony Awards, a Grammy Award, and even a first-ever Kennedy Center honor, not to mention buckets of money.
You're up to date. Check back later as stories develop.
And there you have it. Reuters up to now. Everybody's up to date for January 22nd. Anyway, this has been your host, Kenny Smith. And with Rant and Rave Radio and Reuters Now. And like I said, I want to thank Chuck Eden and KD10 Radio 1 for the song, I Save a Place for You in My Heart. So anyway, I'm going to get out of here because I know you got things to do and I do too. And hey, I'm breathless, so I can't keep a conversation going for no more than 15 minutes because I get tired of myself. You heard me? You hear me? I want to thank each and every one of you for hanging out with me. So we'll be closing down with the president. Hey, Rant and Rave Radio, SmithBits, Kenneth Smith.
Donald Trump rants and raves at the press. I'm not ranting and raving. I'm just telling you, you're dishonest people. But I'm not ranting and raving. I love this. I'm having a good time doing it. But tomorrow the headlines are going to be Donald Trump rants and raves. I'm not ranting and raving.
This is a radio station of the SDC Radio Networks. The music of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Thanks for listening.